Hello everybody and welcome back to the Brothers War set review. I'm continuing where I left off. Just finished white in the last video, but go and check that out if you want to see the white cards. But on this one we are going through blue. So just to cover off quickly the rules that I said in the last one, we will be doing these from a standard / alchemy perspective. I'm not considering limited as I have little to no experience of limited. I won't be considering historic or explorer or anything like that, purely from a standard perspective, as that is what I play most of the time, and therefore the only thing that I feel at all qualified to talk about. And coming from the perspective of, I've only looked at the white cards so far, and now we're looking at blue, so I may struggle with how they fit in with the rest of the set, but I'm not, I think we can pretty well critically review some of these cards just on power level based on the card in isolation. So, without further ado, Air Marshal is a limited card. Curate, 2 costing instant with Surveil 2, and draw a card. This one actually seems half decent. I remember the Surveil was an effect in another set, I can't remember which set, but we had this effect before. And being able to stick stuff in your graveyard off the top of your library is nice. It's like an improved version of Scry. Yeah, this will definitely see play. Maybe in reanimator decks, maybe just in, you need a certain number of creatures in your graveyard or whatever. But yeah, this will definitely see play in certain decks, and it's a pretty good card. Defabricate is a 2 costing counter target artifact or enchantment spell. If a spell is countered this way, exile it instead of putting it into its owner's graveyard. Or counter target activated or triggered ability. Obviously this set is very heavy in artifacts, and there is one good or a couple of good enchantment decks already around. I would say this is probably a sideboard card. They've tried to give it the flexibility that might see it included in main decks, and obviously it depends what the best decks turn out being. If there's loads of very good artifact based decks around, this might be mainboarded, but for now I'd say this is a sideboard card. Desynchronize, too expensive. Excuse me. Drafna, the founder of Latnam, is a 2 costing legendary creature, human artificer advisor. Enough creature types there. 2, and return target artifact you control to its owner's hand. So it's like a bounce or protection, or maybe there's some good end to the battlefield abilities on artifacts. I could think of that with that. What's the artifact called? That Circuit Mender, maybe, or something. But yeah, anyway. I'd say this one is, and it's got 3 tap copy target artifact you control. 3 and tap is a bit expensive, isn't it? Because let's say you've got a 4 costing artifact. If it costs 3 or less, then why are you copying it? I mean, short of just you've got spare mana, but you want to be getting like additional value from it outside of just an extra card. You kind of want to be copying 4 and 5 cost artifacts. You need 7 or 8 mana, which is obviously achievable in blue, but I'm not convinced by this card. It could find a place. If there are particular artifacts where having multiples of them is a great news for your team, then this could be good, but given it's only a 2-1 for 2 and it's legendary, I would say I'm on the fence about this one. Probably not one I'll be playing on day 1 anyway. This looks not great. Flow of Knowledge is 5 costing instant. Draw a card for each island you control, then discard 2 cards. This sounds pretty good. Obviously in mono blue this would be its best, and that would be draw 5, discard 2 for 5. So draw 3 out of your top 5, or draw 5 and discard stuff you've already held on to in your hand. That's a nice effect. I mean, 5 is expensive, but that's a big draw, and that's the worst case. I mean, you could be drawing 10, discarding 2. If you're not playing mono blue, this will be less good. Let's say you've only got 4 or 3 islands down, then it's not worth playing in a split colour deck. So it's probably mono blue only. But in mono blue, it's half decent, I would say. It's like on a level. Like Memory Deluge was look at the top 4 and take 2 of them, right? This is look at the top 5 and take 3 of them. So it's cost 1 more than Memory Deluge, but if Memory Deluge was playable, which it certainly was, I would say this is probably playable. but again, I'm not much of a control player, so let's see. I would say this is probably going to see play in some mono blue or heavily blue decks. Forging the Anchor. Look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may reveal any number of artifact cards from among them and put the revealed cards into your hand. And the rest go away. This seems expensive at 3, and it's a sorcery, so it's slow. I'm not convinced by this card, unless there are some good combos or decks where artifacts go very well with other artifacts or something, which there could well be once we get to that stage, but this looks meh to me. Particularly because there's so many 2-costing counterspells these days, that if you're jamming this in your own turn for 3, if it becomes something that people need, I'd say it's going to get countered if you need it, and it won't be played if you don't. That's my feeling on Forging the Anchor, but let's see. Hercule, the Master Wizard, is the 3-costing legendary creature as a human wizard advisor. At the beginning of your end step, if you cast a non-creature spell this turn, reveal the top 5 cards of your library. For each card type among non-creature spells that you've cast this turn, you may put a card of that type from among the revealed cards into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in any order, in a random order. This is a very interesting effect, obviously. So, let's say you play Hercule on turn 4, and you have a Spell Pierce. They try and kill Hercule. You counter their kill, or at least cast your Spell Pierce. You would look at the top 5 and take an instant from them into your hand, which could then get you another counter to protect Hercule, or it could get you a Destroy. I guess the real advantage you'll find will come when you've got a deck of just, I don't know, sorceries and artifacts or something. I guess is where the intention of this is going. Or maybe just enchantments. Every time you cast an enchantment, you'll draw more enchantments or artifacts than artifacts. I'd say this will see play. I mean, it's a 2/4 for 3, so it's not got huge stats, but 4 is hard enough to kill. And for being able to look at the top 5 and pull, if you want artifacts, or enchantments, or instants, sounds pretty good to me. I would say, yeah, this is going to see play. Hercule's Final Meditation. It's a 7-costing instant. As long as it's not your turn, this costs 3 more to cast. So it's 10 if it's not your turn. Return all non-land permanents to their owner's hands and end the turn. So end the turn effects were kind of famous with a card. I can't remember what it was called, but there was an end the turn card that saw play quite a bit. It was the one where you take a turn after their turn and end the turn, or something like that. But this just feels overwhelmingly expensive. So unless you can cheat this somehow, 7. Obviously, in your own turn, you can end the turn. Yeah, that's reminding me. So the thing that did something before was you get another combat step, but then at the beginning of your end step you lose or something. And if you end the turn, you don't get to the beginning of your end step. So this will only be good if there's stuff that are really good, and then you have to sacrifice them at the beginning of your end step, because although you have to return all permanents to their owner's hands, I can't see where this is going to be good. I'm sure that this pairs or something, otherwise they wouldn't have printed it, but I can't immediately see what it is. So I'm going to say, let's let someone cleverer than me figure out what to do with this really expensive and seemingly quite bad card, because I can't see what this does for now. If I somehow think of the pairing, we'll make a deck around it, but for now, this is a non-craft for me. Involuntary cooldown, it looks like a limited card. Keep at the cadence, it's too expensive. 5 for a 2/5, no. Coiler's Rock is a limited card. This is a limited card. 1 less if you control an artifact creature, return non-land permanent to its owner's hand. I mean, I can't see this being played over Fading Hope and stuff. I know it hits non-creatures, but yeah, no. Unless there's loads of tokens around and loads of artifact decks. No. Okay, well, so this one's a mythic, so I have to cover it. So it's an 8-costing enchantment. I was just saying that 7 costing was too much, but you may look at the top card of your library any time. You may play lands and cast spells on the top of your library, so anything on top can be played. Once during each of your turns, you may cast a spell from your hand or the top of your library without paying its mana cost. So it's sort of like an omniscience that lets you play stuff off the top, but only lets you play stuff for free off the top, but only once a turn, which omniscience is all cards cost nothing, basically. I can't see this being great. In my head, the only thing that like popped into my head was like, could you cheat this in with like, what's it called, fight rigging, or something like that. But I still think there's better targets to cheat in with fight rigging. Like, is this better than a Titan? I don't know. Could be a good one to go alongside Titan, or I don't know, maybe. This is a maybe card. I can't see it being great, but it could be used in some situations where you can cheat it in. But other than that, it's a no, I think. This one is a limited card. Scatter Ray, counter target artifact or creature spell unless its controller is 4. Judging from the amount of artifacts that we've seen in the set, I would say this is going to be a player. It's pretty much as good as Essence Scatter, which is just counter creature for 2. Or the same cost, I should say. But because Pace 4 is going to catch almost every creature. And opening it up to include artifacts as well seems pretty good. So I would say that this probably will see some play. Sky Strike Officer is 3 costing human soldier, flying, 2/3. When it attacks, create a 1/1 colourless soldier artifact creature token. Tap 3 untap soldier you control and draw a card. So we saw lots of soldier synergy in the white cards, and this is another half decent sounding soldier. And a way to draw in creature decks is always nice, but then tapping 3 is a lot. Flying is also good. I would say this is a potential for a soldier deck. 3 costing 2/3 is a lot, but it does have flying and it does create other soldiers, so I'd say this is probably going to see play. It's probably going to be good. This is rubbish. This, no, this, no. Okay, Planeswalker time. Teferi the Temporal Pilgrim is 5 costing, 4 loyalty. Teferi, whenever you draw a card, put a loyalty counter on Teferi. So far, so good. 0, draw a card. Okay, so it's basically +1. And draw a card. Create a 2/2 blue, -2 is create a 2/2 blue spirit creature token with vigilance, and whenever you draw a card, put a 1/1 counter on this creature. Okay, lots of incentives to draw. It does create a blocker to protect itself, although it is only a 2/2, because odds that you can pay 5 and draw are low. -12. Target opponent chooses a permanent they control and returns it to its owner's hand. They then shuffle each non-land permanent they control into its owner's library. So it gets rid of all their stuff. One of them goes to hand, the rest of them to library. This is probably quite good. I'm sure that this will be used and abused, particularly in combo with the Flow of Knowledge. There's an obvious pairing here, because you could draw a load, even if you have to discard some, you know. You need a way of drawing 8 after playing it, so if you wait a turn or 2 and then Flow of Knowledge, this is going to be able to ultimate. Yeah. Okay, I can see this doing something. But it is a 5 costing Planeswalker, so how much it will do is TBC, but I would say it's definitely worth a punt with, and definitely going to play around with it when the set comes out. No. So this is a 2 costing human artist for 2/1. Whenever you draw your second card each turn, put a 1/1 on it. It's a Fairy Vandal effect. And when it dies, create a 1/1. I would say not great. As a Power Stone Prodigy, okay. Vigilance, 1/3 for 3. When it draw a card, discard a card. That's obviously a rubbish ability. It's a fallback. Whenever you discard one or more artifact cards, create a tapped Power Stone token. So this is like a ramp card for artifacts. It's a maybe. This is a maybe. I think it's bad, but you never know. This is command. It's a 4 costing instant. Choose 2 creatures you don't control get -2/-2 to end a turn. Create a tap Power Stone token. Create a tap 0/0 colourless construct. Scry 1 draw. Okay, so obvious synergies are the 2 middle ones, because you get a 2/2 that can grow. Scry 1 draw. Creature. none of these abilities seem amazingly strong to me. I struggle to see this being great. I can't see this being great. If this was like Scry 3 draw a card, maybe, but no, I would say this is not very good. This is your classic blue 1 counter and do something else. Something else is tap up to 2 target creatures. It could be half decent, but probably not. Weakstone Subjugation is a limited card. Okay. Zephyr Sentinel is a 2/1 flying for 2 with flash. That's a good start. When it enters the battle, return up to 1 other target creature you control to its owner's hand. If it was a soldier, put a 1/1 counter on Zephyr Sentinel. This would be good if there is a 1 costing soldier that does something when it enters the battlefield. If there is, this will be good. If there is not, this will not be good. Arcane Proxy is a 7 costing mythic legendary, not legendary, wizard 4/3 artifact creature. When Arcane Proxy enters the battlefield, if you cast it, exile a target instant or sorcery with mana value less than or equal to Arcane Proxy's power from your graveyard. Copy the card, you may cast the copy without paying its mana cost. So, you're probably never playing this for 7, unless it gets really late game and you top deck it, but 3 and you can play something for 2. It's not bad, right? A 2/1 that lets you play something with mana value 2 from your graveyard is not bad, but I don't see it being game breaking. Because it says if you cast it, you can't use copy spells to like get infinite of these or anything. I'm sure there'll be something that this does, but I can't think of something immediately great. Again, TBD, I mean. No. A 1 costing artifact, 2, sacrifice it, draw a card. This might see play, you never know. It is 1 costing 1/1 and it draws you 2 over time. Can do. It's just a bit expensive. Maybe not. The depth charge cost is a 9. Doesn't untap during your untap step. Pay 3, untap it. It's a 9/9. This smacks of like cheat it into play and fling it at people, but no, I don't think it's very good. Hulking Metamorph is a 9 coster as well. It's an artifact shapeshifter 7/7. Enter the battle with a copy of an artifact or creature you control, except it's an artifact creature and its power and toughness. Okay, so you can gain like the abilities of another creature you have. Or an artifact. What abilities are there, I guess? Curious. I guess you could like... I don't know. I'm looking at you, Surge Engine. Play Surge Engine and then prototype this. I can't think of a great... I mean, you could play something on 3 with double strike. This is a 3/3 double strike on turn 4, but again, that's not great. It's going to be more to do with copying an ability, isn't it? But I'm not sure what ability you'd copy to stick on this. I'm sure this will have edge cases, but I can't think of a great one. Scry XX's power. It's a 2/3 flying for 4. Scry 2. Why these are all so blisteringly expensive? I mean, it must be due to the power zone tokens making them easier to cast or something. This looks not very good. Surge Engine is a 2 costing construct with Defender. It's a 3/2. Not bad stats for 2. It loses Defender for blue and it gains this can't be blocked. That sounds pretty good. So for 3, you get 3/2 that can't be blocked. And then for 3 more, it becomes blue and has base power toughness 5/4. So it's a 5/4 unblockable. And then draw 3, activate only if it's blue, and only once, for 6. This looks good to me. This is one of the better cards we've seen so far. Obviously it needs to be protected, but it's in blue colours. I'm sure there'll be decks which protect this and just hit you 4 times with this. I'm sure there will. This looks good. The Temporal Anchor is a 6 costing legendary artifact. As within your upkeep, scry 2. A nice effect. Whenever you choose to put one or more cards in the bottom of your library while scrying, exile that many cards from the bottom of your library. During your turn, you may play cards exiled with the Temporal Anchor. So this is basically draw 2. I mean, you have to play them that turn, but also it could be more if you scry more. This sounds very good to me. It's only cost 6. I mean, it's legendary, but I'm sure you could either cheat this in or get this in cheaply. And then it sounds damn good. That is card advantage like you've not heard of before. Not to mention you get to scry and choose. Well, no, you have to take the 2. You have to scry them to the bottom, but still, I'd say this looks good. This looks good. It does cost 6, but with all the ways of getting artifacts in cheaper, I'd say we'll get this down before turn 6, and then as long as we survive and attack with it, you're going to start winning. Very good card. Terizian Mindbreaker is a 7 costing Juggernaut 6/4. When it attacks, defending their mills, half their library rounded up, and an F for 4. Probably not very good. I haven't seen any other good mill cards around. If we still had like Tasha's Hideous Laughter, you'd definitely see decks with this in it, but as we don't, I think this is probably a meme card at the moment, so we're probably not going to see much of this. Okay, so blue cards, the Surge Engine was good, the Temporal Anchor was good. I'd say the Proxy probably has some uses. I wouldn't get the command. The Planeswalker looks good. And this one looks very good. Yeah, I'd say there's a few decent cards. I would say probably not quite as strong as white, in my general feeling. But then I'm not as good of a blue player, so maybe in the hands of someone who knows what they're doing with blue, these cards would be, or seem more appealing than they do to me. But who knows? To me, there is some potential here for some fun, particularly with Surge Engine. I'd say that looks like a load of fun, hence why it's mythic. But there seems to be some really overcosted artifacts. Like, who's paying these amounts? Unless there's a way of getting artifacts in for real cheap that I don't know about. These are just too expensive. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Sorry about the state of my throat and having to keep sneezing, coughing and blowing my nose all the way through, but I had to get this done as we are on a bit of time pressure before the set comes out to go through the cards. I'll be continuing this series with black very shortly, so please do keep an eye out. If you've got any comments or how you would use the cards or things that I've not considered when reviewing cards, I'd love to hear them. Otherwise, thank you very much for watching and I'll see you soon.